Welcome to the Daily Dose podcast. Dude, we're so happy to have you here.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for the invite. Appreciate it.
Dude, so kind of tell us about yourself, what you do, who you are, for our reviewers.
Sure, absolutely. So who I am, Josh Lyons. What I do, I help small businesses become more profitable. So that's the overarching, the focus of whatever I do. So
straight to the point.
That's
awesome. You were awesome, especially in the beginning when we first met you. It was really cool because we have a marketing company and you have a marketing company. And it was awesome because one of the first things that we kind of saw in you was no competition. Like, I remember when we first met and you said, oh, yeah, I have a marketing company. Aaron and I started talking. We're like, oh, goodness, this is probably one of our competition because we had just started. And we were like, oh, great. Now we know who our competition
Less
is.
market share. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but it was awesome because we started talking with you. And instead of a competition, we were more of like, oh, this guy could like help us grow. We can learn from him. Because you were very, very open to teaching us and like not even in a way of more competitive way, but more of a almost like, hey guys, try this.
Big brother type thing.
Really straight up like a big brother kind of thing. And we, every time we would have a question, and he knows about this, every time we would have a question, I would say, hey, Aaron, just text Josh. And Aaron would be like, yeah, I'll text him right now. And I remember
guru here. He's a real life guru, guys.
Oh yeah, big time. No, it was like that. A lot of the times I would tell Aaron, I'm like, hey, how much should we charge for that? I don't know. And it was because we were beginning, we didn't know a lot of things. And then Aaron would be like, just ask Josh, man. Just text him. Just ask him. Yeah. I'm like, I felt embarrassed. I was like,
we should know this stuff, guys.
Stupid. Know this stuff.
Yeah.
This is like back in the beginning, So yeah, it's been honestly a pleasure working with you, man. So, the idea for this episode was compared to the first episode, which was why you shouldn't start a business. The second idea was, why do businesses fail? So the ones that are already starting a business, why do those businesses fail, right? And so we wanted to kind of know your opinion because you've had this business for a while. And, what are the things that you've seen or noticed or, from businesses of why they fail?
Yeah, I'd say, actually, let me back up a little bit. So some context on my answer is this. I already told you what I really care about is helping businesses become profitable. That's the point of why I do what I do. But when you think, how does a business become profitable? My perspective, going back to 2007, I think, that ballpark, was how can I help businesses become profitable? Well, marketing. Every business needs leads. Mm-hmm. Leads turns into sales. Sales turns into helping you become more profitable. So for me, it was very logical to go into the marketing perspective of helping businesses become profitable. Exactly. But I would say that what I often see is even if I were to help a business get leads, who's to say that business is actually good at sales or quality customer service or quality product or service? If they're not good at running a business, they will fail. And so really, I would say one of the biggest problems that will impact a business's success is oftentimes they have no idea what they're doing. So what happens is the business owner, they do something they're really good at. Let's just say I use restaurants as an example. Maybe I'm the chef. I'm good. Yeah. I've been cooking. I'm really good at cooking. Right? I got in it, and then I'm like, why am I paying all the money to the guy upstairs when I'm the one doing all the work? Yep. I know how to do the work.
Exactly.
People like me, they come from me, and so then I, as the chef, say, I'm just going to start my own restaurant. Yep. So then I go over to start my own restaurant, and I know how to cook. Yep. I am a great cook. And so I
test that sometime.
Start cooking. Yeah, absolutely. Well, fictitious. So I go out there and then I start my restaurant. And then what I'm good at is cooking. What I'm not necessarily good at is sales, bookkeeping, marketing, figuring out how to build a business and run a business. And then I go from 40 hours a week to 60 hours a week, and I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. Then I get fatigue, I get burnout, So the problem is starting a business without actually knowing what you're doing. Yeah, because why would you? So unless your job is a business consultant or business coach helping businesses get going, unless that's your role, if you leave a company and start your own company, you probably have no idea what you're doing. Yeah. And so the biggest problem is just not knowing what to do. And if you don't know what your obstacle is, how are you going to overcome it?
That's perfect, and that ties into the second question as well. As what are some of the common challenges made in the beginning stages of a business? 1 to 2 years. What, in your opinion, based on the businesses that you have worked with, what is that? What does that look like?
Sure. So I have no idea what my goals are. I want to make more money.
Yeah.
Okay, that's everybody's goal.
That's everybody's goal, but it's not a good goal. The goal is how
vague.
much do you need to make, by when do you need to make it, and break it down how you're going to make it.
That's what we spoke about in the first episode, actually, was a lot of people start businesses for the wrong reason. That's why we named it why not everyone should start a business. It's because a lot of people, we spoke about the fact that a lot of people have the passion.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't, but the ones that do, they'll start a business because they have the passion, but they don't do their research. They don't, you know what I mean? They don't actually look to other people and go, okay, what are you doing? A lot of them just go, let me just start this because, like we said, a lot of times on YouTube, you look up a video on, how to start a business, and they make it as like the easiest thing ever. It's you know how much stuff you have to pay between taxes, between licenses, that's the stuff they don't tell you about in a way.
Well, there's a lot of knowledge you have to acquire and the people that you need to have in your network in order to be successful long term, depending on the industry that you're in. So,
so they don't talk about the challenges sometimes, and so that's
right.
They sugarcoat it better to say.
Yeah.
So some of the big challenges. First, create your strategic plan. Yep. What are the goals and how do you hit them? If that's not done, the business that does that statistically grows about 20 to 30% more quickly than the business that doesn't do that. Yeah. So whether you are profitable or not, that's definitely a huge part in becoming profitable. So that's one thing. Another thing is marketing. So someone says, hey, I need to get leads, therefore I'm going to do marketing. And here's what they do. They say, who do I know who does marketing? And so then they find the person who does marketing, and maybe that person who does marketing is really good at, just say, social media, Facebook.
Yeah, one aspect of marketing.
Yeah. And that aspect, so like if you, let's say you're a Facebook person, and I go to you and say, hey, I'm starting my business. Can you help me? Would Facebook help? You say, yeah, statistically.
Yeah, I'm a Facebook person. And so I go, yeah.
You want to get paid,
technically,
yeah. And whether or not you get paid, I mean, statistically, Facebook helps.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, statistically across all industries, across all businesses, but what if my business is absolutely horrendous for Facebook?
Yeah.
But you have maybe not researched my industry specifically.
Exactly.
You just know Facebook works. So I go to you, you help me, then I invest this money, and then I end up wasting my money because I put it in a form of marketing that isn't where my ideal client is. Mm-hmm. And so that's going to be a problem. So that's a problem from a marketing perspective. The business owner needs to understand who is their ideal client, how do I connect with that ideal client, and who's the best marketing person to help with that form of marketing, whether it's email or Facebook or SEO, like ranking on Google or whatever. So there's that. Another thing, can I give you another one?
Oh, sure.
All right. So,
give us these nuggets of
this
gold
is for the
audience.
viewers at the end of the day. Yeah.
So strategic plan is the first thing I said. What are you trying to hit? Figure it out.
Yep. Figure it out.
Second thing is going to be marketing. Make sure you're not blowing it where your audience isn't.
Exactly.
And then the third thing I would say is your positioning. So this is huge for sales. So I do marketing, right? I own a marketing agency. You own a marketing agency, right? And so we both provide marketing services. So if someone comes to us and they say, why should I use you versus you?
Yeah.
Well, what's the answer to that?
Exactly. So what are you special? What are you specializing in?
Right.
Yeah.
So
what do you do different?
For example, some businesses, so we're both in Pensacola, all right? So some businesses, if you did a search online for marketing agencies that do website design, I'll tell you, I don't know if it's half exactly, but a ton of them. You could do this search in any city. Mm-hmm. They're going to say often, we are creative designers. So if everybody's a creative designer, and I say, I want a marketing agency, what are the others doing? Oh, they're creative. I'm a creative. Why? I just set myself up with all the other competitors.
Yeah.
So what can I say differently from the competitors that actually is true to me, my business, my nature?
What you're doing specifically.
And so then when someone comes to them, creative. Oh, results and goal-oriented?
Yeah.
That's how we position ourselves.
Keywords are important, obviously, whenever you're trying to get some emotion from the individual, especially if it's trying to hit a pain point of what they're dealing with. So.
Yep, absolutely. So figure out how do you position yourselves differently. That takes research.
Oh,
that means go to the competitors, see what they're doing, and see what they're not saying that would really pull on the heartstrings of the ideal client.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And see, that was actually something we spoke with Jacob, which is in the previous episode. We were talking about a lot of people don't really do the research.
Yeah.
And so they just kind of started. And we were talking about how, he's working right now at a jewelry store, for example. And so, he's using that as a stepping stone to what he wants to do. And we were talking about how that's actually something that's a really good idea to be able to do, because in our case, we started a marketing company, but he had been in marketing before. So it wasn't just like, let's just start this thing just because I had a crazy idea one day and let's just do it. And obviously, even before we even started, we did a lot of research. I think we did like 2 or 3 months, just every single day meeting up.
I was at his house every single day.
Every single day. Okay, what have you researched? What is it going to take? Should we do this? Should we be this type of agency? Should we be that type of agency? All that kind of stuff. And then we started asking other people, right? Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about? And then our biggest thing, our biggest drive, you could say, was we noticed a lot of companies out there, a lot of small businesses didn't know how to market themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was at the end of the day when we saw that, we're like, we're just going to have to do this. Let's just really do the research. I think we spent like about 3 or 4 months, just pure research, asking other people, hey, looking at other people and being like, okay, what are you not doing in your company?
There you go.
A lot of YouTube videos, man. I remember a lot of YouTube videos.
Well, I mean, there's so much value on YouTube as it is, all these creators, all these people that have already done it and made it. And, most industries out there, you can usually find a successful individual in your industry and you could just mimic them or just do exactly what they say. And you can recreate the results that to a degree in which they have already gained. So,
and that was the whole idea was, but we didn't just go for it. He had been in marketing, and so I think whenever you're going to do something, and I think I gave the example in last episode about, somebody who wants to be, working in mechanics and they're working at Publix. If you have to use Publix, for example, because that's just a random store that came to my mind. If you have to use that because you got to make money somehow and you somehow can't find a job or volunteer or whatever you can in mechanics, then use it to pay off your bills and then somehow go somewhere that you can learn a little bit about mechanics, about what you're trying to do.
Which you're passionate about.
Yeah, it may be that you're passionate about it, but you don't really know what it takes to actually run a business. So before you even do it, go to the people who are doing it. Go and maybe volunteer or say, hey, can you guys have 3 hours on a Saturday that I can work here? I don't care if you pay me $7. I don't care. I want to work. I want to see what it takes to actually run this place, Yeah. And that's kind of the point, is to have something that kind of shows you what it actually takes for this type of business, Yeah. That's what a lot of people don't realize a lot of times is it's not just about the passion, right? Because we did talk a lot about the passion the previous episode, but it's also about the research. It's also about, kind of actually learning about what you're about to get into and then using something to to continue on that for sure.
And that brings us into the next subject as well. So what are some of the top resources that you would say are a big part that would help small businesses in general? What are some resources that you would recommend?
There are going to be types of people, types of professionals. And so one of them, absolutely hands down, is you need to talk to a CPA. And this kind of ties into your previous question.
Yeah. Exactly.
So many businesses, they'll start their business and they'll say, okay, well, I'm making like, $50 a week. So I'm not going to go through the effort of creating a separate bank account and keeping them separate, the funds separated, 2 separate different accounts. And so they start getting money in their personal and then more, which is great. I mean, they're growing. It's not great it's going in their personal, but it's great they're getting more. And then they get to a point where suddenly tax season comes along and they're not going to a CPA. Not at first. The first year, they don't usually do that. And so then what happens is it gets really messy, their whole financial situation.
It's complicated.
And then year number 2, 1.5, 2, right in there, the IRS hits.
Yeah.
And then they have thousands of dollars that they weren't budgeting for, and it's just a mess. Mm-hmm. That's discouraging. That's a reason the business will fail. Yeah. And so the resource is make sure, don't go to one of the, off-the-shelf tax preparing softwares, go to a CPA and say, hey, I want to get started on the right foot. What do I need to do?
Yep.
And have them help. So that's definitely a resource. I would say another one is really one of a fantastic resource out there is SBDC. Are you familiar with that? The SBDC, the Small Business Development Center. And so
yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah, I think I've checked it out.
So I know multiple businesses. What they do is they're funded by like the state, I believe. Yeah. And so they're all over the United States, but in Florida alone, there's tons of them. And so you can go there and say, hey, I'm starting my business. What do I do? Yep. And they will, no cost, they will give you guidance and help you figure out how to get your business on the right,
that is really
right
good.
track. It's fantastic. Yep. And so all you got to do is do a Google search for SBDC, your city, yep. and boom, you connect with them. And so that's a fantastic resource. But there's so many other resources out there. I would say there's a lot of great books. And here's a really good one. The E-Myth Revisited. That book is fantastic. I'd say any new business owner getting started, that's your first book. Buy that book. Read that book.
We'll
follow that.
We'll have that. We'll have that.
Yeah. Definitely need that one. And then beyond that, that's going to really help. And then as your business grows, there are tons of other books targeting different aspects of how to do business. Let me show one other book, The 7 Levels of Communication by Michael Meyer. That book, many businesses starting off, they don't have much of a budget, even a marketing budget. Now we both do marketing agencies.
It's
We'd love for clients to come to us and invest with us so we can help them. Exactly. At the same time, many businesses have very little budget. So with that being
especially
said,
small businesses.
Exactly. So how do you make an impact in marketing when you don't have much of a budget? The 7 Levels of Communication, it outlines a fantastic approach to getting results from marketing, generating leads on a shoestring budget. So I'd highly recommend that. Then as the business starts making more revenue through that type of activity, doing what we do, it can be very, very beneficial. So I definitely recommend that book.
That's awesome.
We'll have that for you guys. Go look at it after you watch this video.
Yeah. So, and that brings us into the next part. So all these things we've talked about, fantastic stuff. Now, we've talked about the beginning businesses and the startups and whatnot. What would you say are some of the challenges that more established businesses deal with?
Yeah, beautiful question. So here's what happens. A business, they get past that initial phase, like, oh man, I don't have time, I don't know what to do, I don't have money, I can't invest. And so what happens is they get to the point that they actually start thriving enough. They say, you know what, I can actually afford to do to bring on staff employees, and I can afford this, and I got some systems in place, and I'm growing. So what happens is many times there's multiple things that will happen. One of them is they get multiple different people with multiple different projects work. We have website projects and SEO projects and things like that. So the business has multiple catering events or whatever. So they have multiple projects. And then things start falling through the cracks. They get a lead, they don't follow up. They had an order, oh my bad, I totally forgot. They have something else, an event they were supposed to show up, a meeting. So things start falling through the cracks because they're growing. Because they're getting bigger, because they're getting better.
Busier. You got more on your plate. Yeah.
So then when things start falling through the cracks, that's a problem. It's a big problem. So as the business gets larger, what it needs to focus on is management. It needs to be able to effectively manage the projects that are being done, the clients or prospective clients that they're trying to connect with and not drop the ball on, the employees, the staff. They need to be able to focus on that. And they're so busy focusing on all like the operations, like get this website built or whatever, get this catering order fulfilled, that they often forget to pay attention to their own business. What are my company's goals right now?
What are we actually going towards?
Right.
Yeah. What's the end goal here? Because, a ship without a captain drifts. And
only if you teach me how to drift.
And so the same thing with the business. If you don't have a direction where you're trying to take the business, or at least a certain level in which you're trying to bring it to.
Blind.
Yeah.
Right.
it won't go where you want it to go, at least at the rate you're wanting it to go. So
right, yeah, pay attention. So I'm thinking about the captain of the ship, and I'm thinking like Moby Dick, and I'm thinking he always had the goal, find the white whale, right?
And this applies to more than just business; it applies to life in general, but it applies to everything. You always want to have a goal where you're trying to get to. Yeah.
If you're just flying by and just not really knowing what you're doing, what you want to do, and having no goals, and a lot of times we talk about how, in life and in business, in both, you shouldn't technically have an end goal, because if you have an end goal, that's your limit. Yeah. But if you have small goals that all they are just small goals to help you go to that next one, and the next one, milestones. Right. So when you do that, then you don't get to that level where you're limiting yourself. A lot of companies, I said it in the previous episode, a lot of companies will be like, well, let's just get to about $100,000. That's my goal, is 100. And then you get to $100,000 and you're like, we should have aimed higher, right? So it should be, and that goes for life too. Don't just say, oh, I want to be a millionaire. Why don't people say I want to be a billionaire? Right? Yeah. Don't limit yourself. Even if you don't get there by you're 150 years old and you still haven't gone, but you're probably a millionaire by that time, because your goal was not limited, right? Right. So,
well, speaking of goals, if you don't mind, what are some of the things that what is your goal? What are some of the objectives of your marketing business specifically? And obviously, if you want to add anything to anything else that you're doing project wise.
Yeah, we're taking notes. Write it down.
Yeah. So can I put a little capper on the previous question?
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So while the problem is often keeping on top of everything, what they should do, the business owner that's getting larger should do, is put a system in place to manage that and make sure things aren't falling through the cracks. And so that's really important. And one other little pointer that I give is, one of the things that a growing business will face is people, employees, talent acquisition, and retention. You can get somebody, but how do you keep them? And so that's something the business owner really needs to focus on. How can they provide value and keep the employees employed with them and not going away?
What if we all get together and help each other and hire a new guy, and then we all kill him, but first we take out like $100,000 life insurance policy? I bet you guys like that idea, don't you?
And so there's conversations that we could have to help with that and give direction on that. But that's just, make sure you've got that in place, because if you keep losing people and having to rehire, that's a lot of loss.
Well, and then it gives you a bad history in a way, because everybody talks.
Yeah, right.
So if you hire somebody, they're not happy, they're going to talk to their friends. And then
write a bad review or whatever.
And nowadays with social media, all they got to do is make one video about, oh, I hate working in this place, they're super this or super that. Even if they're lies, it's still out there. And so now it can leave a bad taste in anybody who's even thinking, you know. Right. So and I will say, and we'll continue to the next question, but it just came to my mind while you were talking about a lot of people that not having that managing system. Sometimes, and this I guess we'll get into it later, but it just came to my mind, so I'm like, let me just say it. Basically, a lot of times, smaller companies, because of that smaller budget, they will fear investing into hiring that person that's going to help them manage it. Right. It's like, well, I can't afford it. It's like, a lot of times they can't afford it. They just don't want to spend that money because they're making all this profit. Right. And the problem is that profit's going to go like this. And as soon as you hit that line where, okay, things are getting too busy, because you have nobody else helping you manage it, it's going to start doing this. Yep. And so that's what a lot of people don't realize, especially in small businesses, is you do have to invest. I remember when my dad started his first business, nobody ever told him, you got to invest in yourself. When you're Cuban, you got nothing, and then you finally have something. It's like, it's all for me. Right. And so, nobody ever told him that in a way. So I started actually, by the time I was managing the business, I told him, hey, Dad, why do you have this tool here? And he was like, well, I've always had it. It works great. I said, it's broken. He goes, well, I can just fix it. I said, no, just buy a new one. You've had this for 10 years. He goes, you're right. After he thought about it, he was like, you're right. We got to buy a new one, because it almost broke while he was using it. Mm-hmm. And that would have been actually dangerous. So we ended up buying a brand new one. He was so happy with this tool. And we're talking about for, I think it was 3 months, he wouldn't stop talking about his new saw. I think it was a new saw that he had. And again, it's crazy, but reinvesting into the business, including with people, having to hire somebody, it's so important. We were talking about it one day and we were like, hey, we're busy. We're really busy. We got all these things going on. We're going to have to hire somebody. You know, we're going to have to get interns. We're going to have to hire somebody because we're too busy. And as much as we want to do it all ourselves, but that way all the money goes straight to us, we are going to start losing clients if we can't keep up with demand.
Yeah.
And that's a huge issue I see for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So,
Goals.
yes,
Right.
yes, goals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awkward as hell.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you want to share,
Transition.
a little bit of what your goal is, at least for the business or whatever you want to share about that.
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you for asking.
Yes.
I'm happy to share. So the thing is, the very first question you asked me was,
Why do
it wasn't
businesses
a question. It was a command. You said,
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah.
Right. So I told you what I do, what I'm trying to do, what I'm working to do, not trying but doing, is
Actively working towards. Yes.
Yeah, right. Helping small businesses become profitable, right?
Yep.
All right. So if that is the goal, that's actually not a very good goal.
Yep.
That's kind of a mission, right?
Overall, it's an
overall
encompassing
mission,
of
it's
what the smaller stuff is. Yeah.
Right. So if a goal needs to be very specific and measurable, it needs to be a time frame for it. So I said, okay, I need a goal. What is my goal? So think big, not little, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, if my goal is to help businesses become profitable, how many? By when? All right. So pinpoint it down. So my goal is to help. Okay, are you ready for this? All right. You ready?
Shoot.
Go ahead.
All right. My goal is to help 3,217,501 businesses become profitable by 2040.
Wow.
Down to the dot.
Okay.
2040.
Yep. Right. So why?
It's doable.
Exactly. It's doable. It's not easy. But if I can reverse engineer how I need to hit that, and I've done that, then, and that's bite-sized and doable, then that's a good goal. So that's a good goal. Now, in order to help them become profitable, that's more than just marketing. So, like, yes, I own a marketing agency. Started it in 2015. It helps businesses become profitable through the lead generation. But having a business that helps businesses get leads is only one piece of the profitability equation. I also need the businesses we work with and others to actually run efficiently. And that is way outside the scope of a digital marketing agency. All right. So what I focused on is building a software platform designed to, what does it do? It helps businesses run efficiently.
Smooth.
So when a business can run smoothly, efficiently, it doesn't fall behind on taking care of the various goals they have.
As well as any partners that it is connected with. Yeah. Because if you're doing good and your partner's doing good, then you're continuing great.
Everybody's winning.
Right.
Everybody's winning.
Well, the partners, the employees, which are like partners, then the clients, third-party vendors, like everybody involved. So what I've focused on building is the platform to help create your strategic plan, manage your strategic plan, management, project management, team management, all that stuff. And then marketing, understanding who is your ideal client. Do you go to Facebook or do you go to somewhere else? Like all this positioning. How do you position yourselves? How are your competitors? Like all that we've talked about, this is all fundamental part of being a good, profitable business. And so the problem that I've had is, as a small business owner, having a resource like this, I haven't found it. I can go to that subscription. I can get Google Drive for free. I can get this. I can get that and that and that and that and that and that. And it all adds up and it ends up nickeling and diming me to death, which is annoying. So I started my agency in 2015. Now it's 2022. So 7 years. And as that time has gone by, about 6 years into it, I was so frustrated with nickeling and diming and not everything being cohesive in one platform. I said, forget it. If I can't find it, or I can't afford it, because there's some really good ones out there, it's just going to cost like $10,000 a year, which I really would rather not have to invest in. So my solution was, just build it.